ఆధునిక విద్య పెరుగెను ఆధునిక విద్య పెరిగెను అంతులేక ఆత్మ విద్యయు క్షీణించే అవధి లేక సత్యధర్మములన్నీయు సబసిపోయే ప్రేమ శాంతి అహింసలు పేదబడియే ప్రేమ శాంతి అహింసలు పేదబడియే అధిక భాషించు సూరత్వమధికమయ్యే కార్యసూర్యరక్తము శూన్యమై కరిగిపోయే బ్రతుకులు ఆడంబరములాయే నేటి విద్యార్థి బ్రతుకు ఈ Salam to one and all. A very good morning to each one of you. Offering my most loving salutations at the divine lotus feet of my best friend, Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai, to be with me this morning, to speak a few words on the given topic and also share a few of the thoughts that I would like to put forth to this August gathering. I know that we have participants in this program from across the North American continent, and it's a great pleasure to have Dr. Akshay also on this call today. Thank you, Dr. Akshay. And well, I've been introduced many a time being a very humorous guy, and I really hope I could add value to this, this thought of blending humor into my talk, which is, I have learned it from Bhagawan himself. So let's start with something very, very specific. If you look at the opening poem that I had just rendered, it was actually Bhagawan's poem himself, where Bhagawan talks about modern education is rising, but people are forgetting Satya, that's truth, Dharma, that's righteousness, and Prema, that's love, which is fast diminishing. He says youngsters today are moving forth in actions, with a show off and pomp, but real actions are getting diminishing day by day. This is a beautiful thought with which I would like to go forward with my thought today. Now, when we're talking about action, if you see this, Swami often says, and we've always seen that, wall clock which says, watch, which says, watch your words, watch your actions, watch your thoughts. We've been hearing a lot of this. But what exactly are these actions we're talking about? Now, when I've seen the pre-read material, let me congratulate this team. The pre-read material that you've given to this team is extraordinary. I'm telling you, it's awesome. And I'm going to take your permission without any intellectual property rights. I'm going to cut, copy, paste it. I'm going to take it and push it to all my leadership students in India. Dr. Akshay, please don't say no. I've already taken it. Right. Now, when we look at this pre-read material, there are a lot of beautiful things that have been already showcased to you. Now, let's delve a little deeper into it. And when I was reading there, one important aspect that again and again the reading material was showing was Nish Karma. We will deal with this topic separately, but now when we're saying having faith in success, what does actually these two terms, faith and success, mean? What is faith? What is success? Success is a very relative term. In fact, when I had the great opportunity of asking Swami, what do you mean by success? Swami brought in a beautiful example. He said, a tiny toddler walking the first few steps of his life and able to walk those 4-5 steps itself is a great success for the entire family. A person like me, with great difficulty passing math in grade 10th was itself a great success for me. For a doctor or a surgeon who's able to complete his surgery and save a life is a successful surgery. For all of us who are here in this call, moving forward and realizing that there is an inherent divinity within all of us, as told to us or enunciated by Bhagawan himself, and realizing that divinity within ourselves is a huge success for all our lives. So, success is basically something which is very, very relative. So, I would not like to deal more into success, but I would like to talk about an aspect which is called as faith. Now, I'm not a headmaster here, but I would like to ask a few questions, whenever I get these doubts within myself. What does faith mean? Can anybody, are we allowed Jason to open and then discuss an interaction right now on the screen?
Yes, brother, you can ask.
Yeah. Can anybody describe what faith is? Okay, there are two terms that I want to talk about: faith and trust. Faith and trust. What are the two differences? We talk trust in God. We say trust in God. What is faith? What is trust? Okay, let me get back to the point now. Faith is something which is a strong belief within your own self. Faith doesn't need an empirical data or a experiential learning. But trust comes when you have an experience within your own self. I asked Swami once, Swami, I said, what is faith, Swami? Then Swami said, how much faith do you have in me? If I'm asking this August gathering here, how much faith do you have in Swami? So some might say, Swami, I have 100% faith. Somebody might say, I have 60% faith. Somebody might say, I have 70% faith. Because what happens in our real life is that when things go very well, we say, yeah, we'll believe in God. If they don't happen to us in the right perspective, you said, God is not helping me, yaar. What is happening in my life? It's not going in the right perspective. And we try to actually find fault with God. And how many of us have ever gone to a temple or a Sathya Sai center or any temple of your liking and have prayed, oh God, you know what is the best that you need to give me, whether it's good or bad. Please bless me with that. Did we ever pray like that? We always go to a temple and ask him for some want or a desire. So we realize that God is there always, and we also have this questioning or doubting mind with God. But Swami very beautifully said to me that day, he said, faith cannot be wavering. Once you have a faith, either it is 0 or it is 100. In between, there is no 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%. Nahi hai. It's not there. So what we need to realize is that when you start believing in something, when it develops into a strong faith, we should know that the faith is always needs to be 100 in order to be successful or satisfactory in your life. In fact, success is a very big word for me. In fact, I don't know how many people in the world have been successful. I know all the people who have been successful, which we so-called successful people, still have some wants and desires, and they still need to fulfill a lot of things in their life. So, leaving that topic aside there, I would now want to narrate a beautiful story to you. This was actually, I would say that I don't know how many of you know Professor Nanjundaya. Professor Nanjundaya was uh, he was the translator of Bhagawan's discourses, in the early years, and he was also the controller of examinations. So this story goes like this. I believe Swami and Professor Nanjundaya, were traveling from Puttaparthi to Bangalore in a Mercedes Benz car, ADA 900. I'm very specific about certain things, because when God travels in a Mercedes Benz, a beautiful number of 900 and a red Benz, people look at it. So when they were traveling together, it so happened, I believe, it was the year 1981, and the general elections in India were happening. And there were a lot of slogans shouting around the road. And suddenly, in order to strike a conversation with Swami, Professor Nanjuday asked Swami, I believe, Swami, what do you think? Who will win this time's the general elections? Imagine a person is asking Swami, who will win the elections? Swami said, I believe, what do you think? Who do you think are strong this time? So Professor Nanjuday says, Swami, this time I think Congress will win, Swami. They seem to be very, very strong and Congress will win. Swami said, aha. Then Swami kept quiet, I believe. And in order to continue that conversation, Professor Nanjuday asked him, Swami, what about your cabinet, Swami? How does the elections happen in your thing? I'm sure that if all the good things that are have to happen in life, you take care of it. But all the bad things or anything, something else, somebody else has assigned this job. I don't think you do it. Swami said, no. I have my own cabinet. Everybody is assigned their role. I don't deal with any of the subjects. My cabinet is totally different. But there are 3 subjects that I directly deal with. And the conversation got very inquisitive. And it so happened that Professor Nanjudeya, slowly, kind of provoked the subject, moved the subject forward and said, Swami, what are these 3 subjects you deal with directly? Then Swami said, do you want to know what are the 3 subjects that I want to deal? He said, the first subject is that whosoever has Nish Karma Prema, that is selfless love, those beings who have selfless love, I deal with them directly. There is no intermediary, there's no cabinet minister, nothing. Even if he's a bad guy, but he loves me with his full heart, I protect him and I take care of him. Listen to this. He says, anybody who's having love, Swami says, I take care of him directly. There's no intermediary. Then Swami said, whosoever does Nishkama Karma, one topic is Nishkama Karma, which is very, very important. Selfless Seva or service, we're talking of, or selfless actions. Swami says, anybody who actually does selfless service, I take care of him. In fact, I heard Bhagawan once saying that I take care of any of the 7 generations of the previous and the coming generation, 7 generations of a good service volunteer. This is the assurance that Bhagawan has given all of us. So Swami said, anybody who loves selflessly, anybody who does seva selflessly, and the third part, Swami said, whosoever does nitya sadhana, that is, sadhana on a regular basis, it is my responsibility to take care of him and his family. So imagine, brothers and sisters, Swami's direct guidance happens that wherever, whenever you are actually doing seva. Now, the question comes now to us, what is this Nishkam Sharma? I will try to actually deliberate a little more on this subject, Nishkama Karma. Swami once told us, you first have to love yourself before you love others. How many of we really believe in this thought? We need to love us. Swami says, if you don't love yourself and you're going and telling me that you're going to love somebody else, it doesn't appeal to me at all. And that is the reason when Swami left his physical form, he left his writing on the Samadhi, love all and serve all. It might be very, very easy, sometimes, very easy, I would say, to serve all. But I tell you, loving all is very, very difficult. And especially in the Sathya Sai organization, it's sometimes very difficult. Because so many things come up, and sometimes we start getting into the tendency of not liking certain things, and then love, slowly ceases away. So love is the most important component of anything. And for faith, in order to have faith in your own self, I've seen that you've discussed the topic, faith in one own self. Love is the most important aspect that you think. And Swami further went down to say that how do you have to serve? Swami says, if you don't discriminate the seva that you're doing, then you're doing your biggest mistake. In fact, umpteen times Swami told us in our journey, in my journey at least, that discriminate and then serve. If you don't discriminate, then it doesn't work. In fact, one of the discussions that we were having with Swami once in the interview, there was a youngster who said, Swami, we went to one particular village in India, in a district in Andhra Pradesh. And the boy said, Swami, I frankly didn't like our approach there, Swami, because I felt that the village was pretty rich and they didn't need our assistance. But we did go and do this service there. Swami said, how do you know that they didn't need your assistance? Maybe they are rich, but spiritually they may be poor. So wherever there is a need, spiritual or materialistic, one has to move forward and do seva. And this is what Swami says Nish Karma is. And a beautiful story that Swami, in fact, narrated to us. And in fact, Swami had told me many times that wherever you talk, be sure that you narrate this story, because this gives you the attitude of Nishkama Karma, of selfless action. The story goes like this. Swami is narrating it to us. He says, Arey, do you know this Bukkapatnam? How many of you can speak Telugu here? Maybe I'll use a little bit of Telugu terms also and try to, kind of give you a translation to it. Because the language of the Lord is so beautiful, Telugu language, it touches your heart beautifully. So Swami was saying, Arey, meek andarki ee Bukkapatnam telusu kadara. All of you know this Bukkapatnam. Bukkapatnam is a village very close to Puttaparthi. Swami says that there was a sadhu who was walking on the tank bed of this Bukkapatnam tank bed. There's a big, huge tank there. And I believe as he was walking, in the marshy lands of the tank, there was a small lamb that was stuck and it was trying to get off from the marshy land. At this point of time, Swami is telling us that there were about 4 or 5 youngsters who had no work to do, who were sitting on the tank bed and they were pelting stones on this lamb. This poor lamb, Swami was explaining to us, was trying to avoid these pelting stones, at the same time trying to free itself from the marshy land. And the sadhu was walking at this time, and suddenly as the sadhu sees this, he removes his jubba, whatever the shirt is, he keeps it aside, he runs into the bed, picks up the lamb on his shoulders and lets it free, let it go free on the in the grasses around there. Now these youngsters who were actually very young there, they come to this sadhu and ask him, hey, do you think you're a big hero? We were having our entertainment there and you came and spoiled our entertainment. What do you think? You saved that lamb? Then Swami tells us, thus the words of the sadhu are very, very important for every Sai worker in our organization. The sadhu says, I believe, no, I never had this feeling of a heroism at all. I was walking down the path and suddenly my eyes see this scene where you're pelting stones and the lamb was trying to get scot-free. And at that point of time, when I saw that scene, my heart started aching. And when my heart started aching, and my heart told me, and in order to alleviate the pain in my heart, in order to reduce the pain in my heart, I went and picked up that lamb and let it go scot-free. So what I did was to alleviate my pain in my heart, because God resides in my heart and I don't want to pain that God within my heart. And Swami says this should be the thought and attitude of every action that we do in our lives. Now, imagine what a beautiful connotation that Bhagavan has given. Normally, we go around, pick up, doing some seva. We go to some, centers, and feed people, which may be needed, we don't need, but there's no pain or concern that we have within our heart. We should always realize that God, Bhagwan, or whichever form or whichever name that we call him, is the one who is actually residing within our own heart. And this is the concept of Nish Karma. Now, moving forward, we always have these thoughts and actions that go together. Words is one biggest aspect that we think about, but thoughts, constant thoughts keep coming into our mind. In fact, Swami was mentioning that in a minute, about 40,000 thoughts keep coming into our mind, and out of which almost about 90% are negative thoughts. I had the audacity to ask Bhagawan once in an interview, Swami, I get very negative thoughts. I want to bash up this guy, I want to bash up that guy. I really want to create a lot of trouble with this guy. Yeah, I was about 20 years younger at that point of time and really didn't like people not doing the right thing in the right mode, and I wanted to, yaar, isko khatam karte hain. This fellow should be kicked out. Then I asked Swami, how do I control my thoughts? How do I negate my thoughts? Then Swami gave me a beautiful example. He said, listen, you are hungry and you have a plate. I'm using exactly the verbatim, the words that Bhagavan had used. Swami says, in a plate, there is a chapati. I'm sure that everybody in this call knows what a chapati is. If you don't know, kindly Google and know it's a chapati made of wheat flour, which is fried like a pancake. And, normally Indians like chapatis made of wheat flour. So Swami says there's a chapati there. There's a aloo sabji there. There's a curry made of potatoes in the plate. Now you're hungry, and Swami says, if you want to eat, what happens if you say chapati come, curry come, chapati come, curry come, kapi come? Will the chapati and curry come? Swami says it doesn't come. Your hand has to go voluntarily, pick up the chapati, make a piece out of it, pick up the curry, and then eat. And then when it gets into your stomach, when it gets digested, then your hunger fades away. Swami says, similarly, each one of us, when we get negative thoughts, you have to get into positive actions. Whenever you get into positive actions and continue to do the positive work, automatically, Swami says, the negative actions will actually recede at the back. This is a beautiful story that Bhagavan time and again has narrated to us, saying that this is how you have to build up constant thoughts. And he said, constantly these thoughts also have to go towards godliness, and this is the most important aspect. Because Swami is, I don't know how many of you strongly believe in this topic or not, subject. I don't know. All of us in this call would have had problems in our life, issues in our life, testing times in our life. And Bhagavan, you must have prayed to Bhagavan multiple times, Swami, please get me out of this ruckus. Please help me. He takes you to the last step where you want to jump over a cliff and die. Then he comes, I am Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Don't worry, I am here to save you. And then he saves you. And he saves you and takes you in a zoom, just pulls you out in a beautiful out manner. I don't know, I have not seen any other godly people or something, who could really help, but Swami puts you to acid tests. His tests are terrible. And that is what makes us very, very strong in our faith. If you give up, you're gone. Hold on to him. Swami always says, hold on, I'm there. And believe it or not, I'm telling you, this avatar, this Lord, this friend of ours, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai, whom we call, it is not by chance that you've come to him. If you think you've come by chance to him, that maybe Ananti or Dr. Akshay or Jason, somebody has asked us to be a part of this organization or do this leadership course, I'm telling you, you should go to a good parlor, take a good shampoo, and wash off from your head. It doesn't. Swami has been holding a hand for ages. And let me tell you this with a beautiful incident again. This happened when I was very, very young. I was a very plump guy. I was almost double the size of what I am right now. And Swami lovingly used to call me Pakoda, Bonda, double size, bread Pakoda, Gatot Gaja. They had different names. He had me called me with my name anytime. So I was sitting in the bhajan hall once. I keep narrating this many a time because it's a beautiful incident to tell us what Swami is actually. Swami had called me actually to hand over a couple of vibhuti packets to a judge in Hyderabad to be handed over to him. And by the time I got up, this heavyweight ship had to get up from the bhajan hall, come to the door. Swami went inside. So Swami sent Srinivajirao and said, "You tell that fellow to go and give it there." So I went to Hyderabad, gave it to the judge, and I was returning home. And suddenly, I had this thought in my mind. Imagine if your mother or somebody in your home gives you a task. You go back and tell your mom, I've finished the task. If your boss gives you a task, you go back and tell your boss, I've finished it. I've completed this project. This is done. And here was this friend of mine who's the Lord of the universe, who's given me a task. And I thought I should go back and tell him, Swami, I've handed over the 2 vibhuti packets that you gave to your devotee. So I went home, told my mother, Mom, I want to go back to Puttaparthi. My mom looked at me up and down. He said, where the hell are you coming from? I said, I'm coming from Parthi. I said, this is the whole story. I want to go back again and tell Swami. She said, go. So I was sitting in the cyclone hall, all seated, young man, lot of ego, full balloon, halogen, beaming. Swami will come now. Swami will ask, Emra, what? Then I will get up and tell Swami, I have accomplished the task that you have given. Everybody in Cyclone Hall will see, what a great fellow, Swami's task is done. They will cheer me. This thought was there running in my mind. And the music started. Swami came in. And Swami looked at me and said, Amy, what? And I got up to tell him, Swami, and I said, hey, chup, sit down. He said, hey, sit down. In a moment, in a split second, the balloon burst, the ego burst, everything burst. Everybody in Cyclone Hall were looking at me. What did this guy do that Swami got annoyed so badly? What happened? In an action of hardly a multi-second, Swami put me in my place. Down. He just killed me down, actually. And I was hanging my head in shame, put my head down because everybody was looking at me. And in a split second, I was repenting. Normally, repentance is also a very important concept in our life. Swami talk of Paschatapam and Purvatapam, 2 concepts that Swami talks about. Paschatapam is feeling bad after something has happened. Purvatapam is actually thinking about it even before you do the action. Swami talks about it in a beautiful way. That is the difference between Rama and Ravana. That's what Swami explains it to you. So I was hanging my head in shame, and suddenly a student runs to me and he comes and says, Swami is calling you, brother. I go into the interview room. Swami is in the interview room all alone. Swami is reading a letter. Then I was once bitten, twice shy. I held myself off a few feet away on my knees, waiting for Swami. Swami looks at me and says, Ippudu cheppura. Em cheppadalchukunnava, ippudu cheppu. Swami says, now you tell me what is it that you want to say. Then I very meekly cut down to sizes, millions and millions of pieces down to size. I said, Swami, you gave me a small task, Swami. I just wanted to come and tell you that I completed. Swami was so happy. He said, Santosham, Chala Santosham. Happy, he said. And he said, Chesko. Swami when says Chesko means, he tells you to have his Pada Namaskaram. I bent down, I was kissing his feet and was getting out. I made a statement. You know what statement I made? I don't know how many of you understand Telugu here, but I made a statement in Telugu, Swami, Idina Purva Janma Sukrutam Swami. I said, Swami, this is the fortune of my previous birth. You will not believe it, brothers and sisters. I was just 5 feet, Swami is 5 feet 3 inches, I'm 5'11. So I was just around the height of Swami. Swami up, gave me a slap on my face. Padak slap. Said, Pichi Vadivi. ఇది నీ కొన్ని వందలాది జన్మల సుకృతం రా నువ్వు ఈ రోజు నా ముందు కూర్చుని ఉన్నావు. He said, this is the fortune of your hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of your birth that you're sitting here in front of me. Just imagine all of us who are here. We are not here by chance. We are not here at all. All the tests that Swami gives is just to make ourselves stronger, make our faith very, very strong, that we are always in constant guidance, the divine guidance within him. And this is a concept of faith that actually brings in a satisfaction in your life, which sometimes brings you to success, which somebody says it's success to me, or whatever you call it, but this is the core aspect, to be successful in life. This is one thing. And now, when you look at these aspects in a deeper matter, when you look at it. So, Swami, when he tests us, why does he do that? He wants us to get tougher. And, the concept of creating these obstacles is also to make us tough, to make us very firm, and have that strong faith within us that there is a person who is there as a best friend in our lives. As you call him God, you call him Allah, you call him Jesus, you call him whichever name you call him by, that he's always there to support you. And to this, Swami narrated another beautiful story that I would like to talk about. Jason, please let me know when there is time. My time is up because, I keep going on. It goes on like that.
You have 10 minutes, brother.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I would want to share this story, pot story. Swami was mentioning us about this story. We call it the pot story. I believe there was a king, Swami's story again. There was a king in Pataliputra. Pataliputra is a place near Bihar, where Swami said the king got into a lot of vices and all, evil things in his life. And he had to lose his kingdom, and he was kicked out from his kingdom, and not knowing what to do. He was a very good gardener, he was very good at gardening. He left his kingdom, ran away from his kingdom, went to the nearby kingdom and took up a job like a gardener. Swami is explaining this story, it's so beautiful. And Swami says, he was this gardener, this king gardener, I would say that king gardener was sitting in his garden in the neighboring king's palace, and was feeling bad. I was a king of such a big kingdom, and I had a beautiful palace. I'm sitting here under the tree with no shade at all, and he was feeling so bad. Obstacle, his life was in a big problem. Then I believe right beside him was a pot. And Swami said, the pot said, "Hey king, why are you feeling so bad? I want to tell you a beautiful story." And the pot started narrating a story. The pot said, "You want to know something, king? Let me tell you, I was a very happy soil at one point of time. I was lying in a field, happily with airy ventilation, the sun shining very brightly, and I was the red soil in a big land area. And suddenly, what happened? There are a couple of people came into the land, started digging me with, what do you call the shovels, and then it cut into my neck, it cut into my body, it made pieces of me, and then what they did, they picked me up and threw me into a bullet cart. Having done that, they didn't keep quiet. They took me to a place which was very shady. They dumped me there, and I had to be under the scorching sun for such a long time, not knowing what to do. Then one fine day, they poured very cold water on me and started trampling me with their feet. And then from there on, they didn't stop there. They actually put their hands together, the legs together, and then they put me on a wheel and started rotating me. They started rotating me. Swami was telling the story to us, with the sounds. And then suddenly, one guy put both his hands and started pressing me, and they made a shape out of me. And I was, my stomach, actually became a very big stomach. And then I had a big stomach, and somebody suddenly chopped me off with my knife. He cut me off, and I was feeling very bad. I didn't know what to do. Then they took me and put me into a blasting furnace full of fire. I was put on fire for 24 hours. And I tell you, it was so hot, I couldn't bear it. Then they took me out from the furnace, put me into a bullock cart again, took me to the marketplace, and put me out for sale. And every Tom, Dick, and Harry came and tong, tong, tong. He used to check me whether in the pot, at the pot I was looking good or not. He used to knock on me every time. And suddenly I was sold. And it so happened, somebody bought me. And then it so happened, and they brought me here. And this particular place, they put cold water in me. And today, what is my life? I am sitting on the top of the king's head. My life from a soil has come now, and I have become a pot now, but my position is on the king's head now. You're a gardener, you're a former king, and I sit on the top of your head. Then Swami explained that every human being has to go through these obstacles in life. But at the end, there is a beautiful connotation that life becomes very beautiful. And you have to go through the rigors of this entire life to actually face that. And you will end up, provided you are strong in faith, your conviction is strong, your thought process is strong, but you will sustain to get closer to God. This is the concept that I would like to share. But before I close, last 4 minutes, Jason, I want to complete this with a beautiful story of your next topic. In fact, a lot of things are getting into my mind to continue this, but I would like to close it here. I see that there's a topic, we are all one. I just want to leave a prelude to you before we move forward. This is a story that happened with us with Swami in Prashant Nilayam. We were the Hyderabad group, the youth group. We were a few thousands in Hyderabad who used to render service. And there was a core group of about 50 to 60 youngsters. And most of you know, when you come to Swami, Swami walks up to you when you're sitting in the cyclone hall. Swami's favorite question is, in English, he asks, how many? He'll ask. This is how he asks. How many? He'll ask. He'll never ask in Telugu. He will only ask in English. So one fine day, we were all about 45 of us youth were sitting there. Swami walks up and he looks at me and says, how many? So there is, among the group, there's one guy who's called the statistical officer who needs to count the number and tell the leader in the front that we are 40, 45. If Swami asks you, you should tell him the right number. So this guy told me that, we're 45. Swami came up and he said, Swami, we're 45, Swami. Swami looks at us, gives a beautiful smile and says, you're wrong. And walks back a few steps and says, am I not there with each one of you? Swami said. And before we could tell Swami, Swami says, am I not there with you? He says. Before we could say, Swami, 45 plus 1, 46, Swami walks off. And this is the scenario one. A few months later, we were about 50 or 52 of us, we were sitting there. Swami walks up again, and this time we are double checked. We check, we are 52 guys, and we know the answer. Swami comes and asks, how many? 52 plus 1. 53 is the answer. So Swami walks up closer, and he comes with that mischievous smile. I'm sure, you feel that when Swami is walking with that mischievous smile on his face, he comes up and Swami says, hey, how many? And Swami, we have 52, Swami. You are there with us, Swami. So 52 plus 1, Swami, 53. Swami looks at us, gives that beautiful smile and goes back again and says, hey, you're wrong, Ra. He says. Then he says, am I not there with each one of you? My God, this was a different connotation. So, Swami, we are 52 plus 52, Swami, 104. By the time we say he's gurr, he's left already. He's walked off. So, they're feeling, yeah, this is something we should actually. So, the final time, we were 63 of us, we were sitting there. And Swami comes up. He starts walking. And he's walking, he's got that beautiful, bewitching, beautiful, mischievous smile on his, he's coming because he knows that he's got something up his sleeve right now on us. He comes slowly, walks up to us and says, hey, how many? He says, Swami, we are 63, Swami. With each one of us, you are there, Swami. 63 plus 63, Swami, we are 126. And this time we were very sure that we had the right answer. There's nothing going to be wrong. And we were waiting Swami to call all of us inside. And Swami looks at us, smiles and says, hey, you're wrong, Ra, he says. My God, what is wrong? Swami says, in Telugu, he says, how many times you have been coming to me? You have been coming here so frequently. Don't you know? We are all one, Ra. We are all one. He says, we are all one. And the concept of being together. Swami taught us, the first time Swami was talking about Dvaitam to us, then Swami talked about Vishishta Dvaitam. And finally, when Swami spoke to us, we are all one, Swami was talking to us about Advaitam, that God and you are one. This is the supreme message that Bhagawan had taught us so beautifully in a small incident like this. This Lord is so beautiful, let me tell you, brothers and sisters, everything that he does. In fact, once he was asking one of the youngsters, what have you studied? He said, Swami, I've done my engineering, Swami. He said, what is engineering? He said, BE, Swami. B, Bachelor of Engineering, B.E. Swami said, if for BE you've studied 5 years, in order to win GRACE, my grace, how much should you study? Grace is the bigger degree. So if you want grace, you have to be more, have more faith in me, and you should get into a role of being closer to Swami and trust him like you trust your own heartbeat. This is the most important aspect that I would like to share with you. I think, I've really taken a little more time than you. There are a lot of things that I could really go forward on this. Maybe some other time we'd have a better opportunity to do it. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you.